Jamaal Fields Green hails from the vibrant town of New City, New York. This multifaceted artist has showcased remarkable skills as an actor, singer, director, and writer. Jamaal is a graduate in musical theater from the Hart School of Music. Jamaal is currently on tour, starring as Michael Jackson in MJ the Musical. His captivating performance and nuanced portrayal of Jackson are a testament to his deep understanding of his craft. Jamaal's acclaimed career is not confined to the theater. He brought to life the character of Philip Hamilton in the Chicago's rendition of Hamilton: An American Musical, and recently clinched the award for the Best Action Short at the Indie Short Fest for his impactful short film, The Inevitable, exhibiting his ability to immerse himself in diverse roles, demonstrating an impressive range. These accomplishments highlight his dynamic talent, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes as a skilled writer and director. Jamaal's remarkable journey and his relentless pursuit of artistic excellence provide a strong foundation for what is sure to be a brilliant, enduring career in the entertainment industry. Please welcome Jamaal Fields Green to Face the Music.
This is Jamaal Fields Green, and it's time to face the music with Joby Rogers.
I'll start with the first question I ask all the actors I interview. What does every non-actor get wrong about the profession and craft of acting?
Ooh, that is a beautiful question. I won't say that it's authenticity, the human condition. Even though that we're playing characters or other people, the majority of the time that all these people are people, you know what I mean? Whether it's a made up character or a real person, like every now and then you might play like a creature or something like that, right? But like that human condition, I would say something that every character has something about them that grounds them, whether even if it's like a cartoon or they're cartoonish or like fantastical, you know what I mean? So I would say groundedness is something that I think that every actor misses, because based on the piece with it, if it's such a fantastical piece or even like so cartoony, I still think that there's still some groundedness is in everything that you can play.
Was there a particular experience that solidified your passion for taking acting seriously and as a profession?
Totally. For one, growing up with my mom, New York, born and raised, she worked in the city, worked at NBC in my early childhood. And getting to see all these billboards, and she worked right under the CEO. So he had a huge office. So I used to go with her regularly to work, and getting to see all these big, huge billboards and stuff was always so interesting and cool to me. So I would say that was one big factor. But I think one of the other main factors that really pushed me into acting would have to be, there are two other instances. One, when I did it for fun in high school, my friends, we thought it was a joke we played sports, so we thought it would be a joke to sign up for the play and do it. But this is me being very serious. Seeing the reception from all the girls, but also just everyone else, was something that I really liked. And then once I got in touch with an acting coach that got me prepared for auditions for colleges, it was a different level of discipline and focus that was required. And I wasn't meeting it at the time. And he had a real talk with me. John McDonald is his name, still my mentor to this day. And just from that talk, that kind of centered me and that let me know that I wanted to do this. And then me going to school, I went to the Hart School, University of Hartford. I went there with no training in dance, singing, barely any acting. The only training that I had was just for auditions. And my mother told me, if you don't get this certain GPA, I'm going to pull you out, because I partied a lot in high school. So, and I didn't want to go home. So I had to focus, and I wasn't doing that well in a lot of my academic theater classes, like music theory and other stuff like that, because it was stuff that was so foreign to me. And rather than saying I'm not good at this, I signed up for extra credit, for extra help, tutoring, worked my butt off, because I was like, one, I have to get this certain GPA. My mom's going to pull me out after this semester. But two, I don't want to just fail at this and say that I didn't try. And doing that, I actually fell in love with practicing, and I got better. And from that, seeing those results, I wanted to see more results. So I would say that is actually what really got me into acting, was the act of practicing and sharpening my sword, if that makes sense.
Getting to the MJ musical, when taking on the role of a person who was so mercurial and who was quintessential to the American music experience. Were there any trepidations?
Of course, for one, it's a huge responsibility, right? You have somebody's legacy, especially a legacy this big. It's in your hands for the duration of the show every night. You have an army of fans that are coming to see their idol on stage, even if it's just a fraction of him. And it was many things, just with that, I always say with playing someone that walked on this earth and breathed on this earth, it's the mannerisms, it's the way that he talked, how he talked, how he sounded when he talked, how he walked, the movement in his dance, his singing, like every every detail matters. So with that, kind of just going back to that focus and discipline that I mentioned, it requires a great amount of that.
In your portrayal of Michael, what did you think of the arc of his story from near poverty beginnings to incomparable fame and fortune to some very arduous times, as we know? What was the most challenging part of becoming Michael Jackson?
I would say, and it's my favorite part of the show, it's portraying the human being behind the icon, because the icon was a juggernaut, you know? And a lot of people know MJ, but this show really allows you to see another facet of him. And he was multifaceted, right? But I would say definitely portraying the human being behind the icon, because for someone so big and larger than life, he was, and he still is to this day, larger than life, bringing him down, not in a sense of, chopping him down or, hurting his legacy, but just really just humanizing him. I think that's probably the hardest part.
How did you personally connect with Michael, and what were some of your personal attributes that you brought to the character?
I think for one, I think we all loved Michael because we all saw a part of ourselves in him, whether it was him and his family being able to achieve the American dream, coming from poverty and then reaching this height of fame, but also, I think also just, whether it was his humanitarian efforts or just his passion for the arts and for what he did. The way I care about my artistry and what I do, I relate a lot to him. How can I make myself better than how I did yesterday? I really, really love that about him. So that was one thing that I really gravitated towards, just his passion for his artistry.
What part of Michael's personality did you relate to the most? And what was the most surprising discovery about Jackson during your preparation for this?
Two things that I relate to him the most would be his humor, definitely a kid at heart, his determination, and his business intellect. Everyone credits Michael on his talent, but I think he also had a really great mind for business that, as it usually does, rightfully so, gets overlooked because of how talented he was. So I would say those two things that I related to the most.
What was the most surprising discovery about Jackson's life that you may have not known about?
The most surprising discovery for me, honestly, was knowing how many times he had to break, how many times he had to prove himself again after already proving himself. Here he is, Jackson 5, post-Jackson 5, post-Jacksons, made off the wall, won 2 Grammys that he wasn't happy with, didn't really win any of the bigger, quote unquote, bigger Grammys. And he felt, kind of shunned from the industry, felt like he wasn't being taken serious. That was really shocking to me, and then that anger that he had and that chip on his shoulder led him to make Thriller. So that was a big discovery. And then he had to do it again with Bad. They didn't think he could do it again. And then after Bad, they didn't think he could do it again. And he made Dangerous and kept breaking these records and stuff. So I would say the amount of times that he had to prove himself in the industry after, to the common eye, you're already like, well, he was already Michael Jackson. But he had to prove and go again and be like, I'm Michael Jackson.
Was there a memorable moment you had so far while playing MJ?
I've been doing it for a while, so there's a few. Definitely my Broadway debut. I made my Broadway debut back in August of 2022 as MJ. Another one would be, with that, that was back at home in New York. My entire family got to see that, which was very special for me, family and friends. But year one of the tour as an alternate, I got to, just on the tour, getting to see all these different states that I haven't seen. New Orleans in particular, so much fun last year. We were there for Halloween for 2 weeks. I was able to propose to my fiance at the start of the tour last year, so that's definitely a milestone for me. Getting to meet so many people along the way, fans and also celebrities especially celebrities that knew him, or celebrities that have influenced me in one way or another that have just come to see the show and then, giving me my props for the portrayal and everything like that. And then the last thing I would say is the impact that it's had on my artistry and my personal work. I've always considered myself a very hard worker and someone that's always been open to learning and getting better, right? But doing this has just, I guess, made me take it to another level that I can't. Whenever I'm done with the show, I won't be able to let part of that part of myself go, because it's already a part of me, but now it's just cranked up to 11 rather than 10 now.
I'm always interested to hear about the different methods of preparation that actors use. So with the repetitive pace of a traveling show, bus, hotel, repeat, how do you keep each performance fresh and relevant for yourself? And how do you avoid the creative fatigue?
Right. I was just talking about this last night with some castmates, actually. I feel complacency is the start of the death of the artist for everybody, right? But just especially artists. So I constantly ask myself, I check in with myself constantly, because with the travel and everything, it's tiresome, but I constantly check in with myself, in the show and outside of the show. How can I just continue to keep that fire? How do I keep the fire? But for one thing, finding new things within the show to make it spicy for myself. The good thing is that with MJ, there's a whole arsenal of movement and, things to pick from. So like maybe one week I'm doing a certain bag of moves, and then next week I can empty that bag and try some other stuff. So that's one thing. But for two, I guess holding myself accountable, with what we do with theater and stuff, trying to keep, rather than TV and film, when you have for a certain amount of time and then you're done. With theater, it's a little longer, or much longer. I think with that is really just checking in with yourself, holding yourself, and then if you're leading the show, making sure that you hold everyone else around you accountable to stay dropped in, to try to make a new discovery. Doesn't mean that you're going to that night. You may not for another week or maybe another month, but as long as you're at least trying to stay dropped in, you'll be surprised what you can do. My trainer always says you're stronger than you think, and it's very true. But then also on top of that, another thing is you never know who's in the audience. And I don't say like a celebrity or anything, but you never know what kid or person of any age might just need that performance for inspiration or just to be lifted up, And that is one of the main reasons why we do what we do.
I'm glad you said that, because that's right into my next question. With Michael gone for 15 years now, you are introducing him to a whole new generation of fans that never had the opportunity to see him live in concert. What are the challenges in portraying Michael's legacy, including the unparalleled triumphs? And I know the show goes into some of the controversies as well.
I would say one of the hardest things is just like knowing that I'm not him. You know what I mean? And I'm also a big MJ fan, so it's like I also like I'm not him. There's only one MJ. So I would say that it's that. So like my portrayal it's me more so paying homage, and my biggest thing is making sure that I portray him as authentically as possible, which I think I do. I would say I do, out of respect for him, because it's out of respect and love and admiration for the people that never got to see him perform and stuff like that. Like I said, it just goes back to that big responsibility, and that determination and focus, to just ensure that the portrayal that I'm doing is always respectful and it's always with love and good intention of portraying this man's story. Like any human, like any life, there are ups and downs in life and everything, trials and tribulations, and we how we overcome or we get through them or how we don't. And in MJ's case, he overcame a lot, and I think it's just to show the kids, and everyone else that didn't get to see him. What I will say is that when you see my show, from my specific portrayal, you will say that's a performance right there. That's paying homage and that's authentic. and someone did his homework and and studied, but it's hard. Don't get me wrong, it's very, very hard. But I'm honored. It's one of the greatest honors of my career so far, getting to play this role. But seeing the amount of people, especially kids, that come dressed in like Billie Jean or Smooth Criminal or Thriller, and it's like, hey, yo, this was way past your time. What you know about this? It's humbling because it's just like someone really can be immortal in a way, just not in the ways that I guess that we would naturally think. But it's scary in a cool way. But it's just like it's otherworldly, man.
Did you research any tribute shows or other tribute artists, Michael Jackson tribute artists, to be for your role?
Of course, of course. I've watched almost every show you could think of. But wait, tribute artists that were paying tribute to MJ?
Yes.
Oh, of course, yes, yes. I've watched a lot of MJ stuff and a lot of people that have played MJ and people and performances that have gotten things wrong and performances that have gotten things very, very right. But and what I've seen, the ones that do get it right, performances, whether it's on screen or it's just on the stage, the ones that get it right go back to the authenticity, the love, and the respect and focus and determination to pay homage. You know what I mean?
Any particular tribute shows?
I would say, to be honest, one of my favorite has to be Chris Brown at the BET Awards. The way he moved, it was very, very spot on to a lot of what MJ did. Another one, I mean, it's his sister, but Janice tribute, that's in the blood. Even all the way to just like pictures of Jafar for the upcoming movie. You know what I mean? Like you can like just watching the pictures, like the 2 pictures that he's posted, the lines, and even like
yes,
the first one with him in the studio with him painting that pose with the lines. I was like, all right, the lines look good. But then the second one that he posted with the toe stand, all the way to the way that he's biting his lip, like the little details. I'm like, oh no, he's doing, and that's his uncle, right? And that's in his blood. But I'm like, still, you're doing your homework, you're studying. That's that authenticity and that paying homage and the love and respect, but the attention to the care and detail. And that's how it should go with any role for an actor, but especially when we're playing real people, because it's not a character made out of thin air. It's someone that really lived. And the good thing about playing MJ or someone of that status or like a celebrity is that we have the internet at our disposal to, kind of get into these loopholes of just information.
My favorite MJ video is when he fired Brad on stage. Job's gone.
Yeah. Job's gone. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yeah. Favorite MJ performance though has to be between Wembley 1988. I watch that video constantly. I say for everyone that plays MJ, you can watch the first 5 minutes and just study that alone.
So you never got the chance to see him in concert?
Unfortunately, no. Just my generation, like when I was a kid, was Invincible, You Rock My World. So he wasn't touring around that time.
Yeah.
But I think it's my top 3 would have to be that Wembley, his Grammy 1988. The Bad Era was my favorite era. But the Grammys 1988, that whole The Way You Make Me Feel performance when he broke it down like jazz and stuff, so cool. And then the third one was his 1992 or 1993 MTV performance, only because that was one of the first times I saw him do the robot during Billie Jean, which I think his break was really good.
People don't understand. I have video of the moonwalk from the 1930s.
Ooh, yes, it goes that back. It goes that
far back. Yeah, then Michael really went to the old school people for his moves. Fred Astaire, Sammy Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He just put his own little twist to it, and that's what made him.
I was telling someone last night. I was like, MJ really he just was a fan. He just was a fan of the arts and took all these different dance moves, even the mashed potato, everything, and took all these things and conjoined it and then turned it into his own style. But I was like, but when you really break down all these moves, you can pinpoint where they all came from, which is really, really cool because that just shows being a student of the craft, which is why also, again, when you asked me earlier, one of the things that I relate to is his passion for the arts and being a student. He never stopped being a student, even when he was hailed as the greatest,
The Smooth Criminal lean.
Yep.
That's from the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz.
Yep. And that whole concept is not Bob Fosse, but Fred. It's a Fred Astaire video. I forgot what song it is, but it's a Fred Astaire video where he's in a white suit. Starts out, he's about to go into a club, and the whole time he's moving through a club. You know, he's gambling a little bit, and it's a whole thing where these guys are trying to get to him. And if you watch it, it's literally shot for shot. It's Smooth Criminal. It's amazing.
In your preparation for the role of Mike, did you discover any of his strengths and weaknesses that you've never thought of?
All strength, no weaknesses. For one strength, his stamina. He had crazy stamina, especially like I would say the Bad Era is one of my favorites, but he had crazy stamina.
So you've seen the touring comment that he made about touring? How he
I love to tour, and I'm honestly the same way. I can be honest. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but for the sake of the interview, and so no one gets mad at me. Hey, I love to tour. I love it. I love it so much.
My first MJ concert was the Jacksons' Victory Tour I saw in Philadelphia.
Ooh, you saw a great one, man.
Then I saw Michael Jackson's Bad Tour twice in Hartford and once at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, I'm jealous. Hey, to be a Hawk, go Hawks.
I'm so blessed to have witnessed that live.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, the Bad Era, he was on something great in the Bad. Like his entire career, but just for me, the Bad Era, I just loved the even all the way down to the looks and the fashion and stuff that he was doing. But he was. You can see that I think I love the Bad Era so much because that's when you can literally see that it clicked. Like Thriller, of course, was when it just like everything blew up, but you can see like him performing during the Bad Era. It's like when everything just clicked and he was just ready. Just so good.
I'm committed to transcending as much as I can in this profession, journalism. So with that, do you have any comments or critiques on this interview and anything that you'd like to add yourself?
One, you add great. You asked great questions. This was a great interview. And I would just say for anybody listening, if you think that you can't do it, you can. All it is just applying and put your heart into it and focus and go after it. And don't let anybody tell you differently.
Well, thank you for joining me, Jamaal. So much appreciated, man. I'm so looking forward to the show.
Thank you so much.
I saw it once on Broadway about a year ago, and I was blown away. I have a very strong connection to the Jacksons and Michael personally. All right, excellent, Jamaal. Have a great show, man, and good luck on the road.
Thank you so much. You have a great one. All righty. Bye-bye.